Welcome back to 21 Grams. And if you're here on a Wednesday night, I want you to settle into something different with me. This isn't a new episode, and this isn't a follow up. This is a reflection. This is a quiet place to sit with whatever Monday stirred in you. Wind Down Wednesday is the pause between breaths. It's the soft landing in the middle of the week. The moment where the truth you spoke on Monday finally has some room to echo. Monday's episode was about naming the shift, declaring something, saying something out loud. But tonight is about feeling it. Wednesdays don't ask you to reinvent yourself. They don't ask you to perform. They don't ask you to be on. Wednesdays just offer a moment. It offers a place to hear yourself. It offers a place to hear yourself again after the noise of the week has had its say. So whatever you want to do, wherever you are, go ahead and get comfortable. Let your shoulders drop. Let your breath slow down. Let it slow down just enough to remind your body that it's allowed to be here. We're not rushing anything, and we're not building. We're simply noticing. Before we settle in, I want to tell you what I'm drinking tonight. Tonight I'm drinking a glass of Rashi Claret. It's a sweet red wine. It's unhurried. And more importantly, it's patient. It tastes like the moment the world finally lowers its volume and you realize your body has been waiting to breathe. Kind of like letting everything go. That's why it feels right for tonight. And that's because Wind Down Wednesday isn't about the drink itself. It's about the slowing. It's about the softening. It's about the settling. So, you got something in your hand? Take a sip with me. If not, you're still here with us. Like always, 21 grams has only one requirement, and that's presence. Take a breath. A real one, the kind you don't rush. Let's get into the echo of Monday. On Monday, you said something honest. I said something honest. Maybe it was out loud. Maybe it was only to yourself. Or maybe it was just a quiet realization of the fact that I'm not that person anymore. Tonight, we're not repeating that moment. Tonight, it's about noticing what it feels like to live in the days after it. Because the truth doesn't always hit you all at once. The truth doesn't always hit all at once. Sometimes it just arrives in pieces. Sometimes it settles slowly, kind of like dust in a room you haven't walked into in a while. Or sometimes it waits until a Wednesday night when the world finally stops asking for your attention. So let me ask you something. And I'm going to ask a few things. But let's start with asking, how did that truth sit with you this week? I know we're at the halfway point, but it's been a few days since we declared that we are not that person anymore. Was it a feeling of being free? Did it feel heavy? Did it feel like reaching for an old jacket just to realize that it still fits, but it no longer feels like you? That's what evolving feels like. When you say you're not that person anymore, these are the kind of things that come up. Did you notice yourself pausing? The pausing before responding to something. Kind of like you ask the question, and instead of listening to respond, you're listening to understand. That's change. Did you catch yourself thinking? Did you catch yourself thinking that I don't want to do this the old way anymore? And for these answers, you don't have to answer them. Let them just sit in the back of your head for a little while. Just notice. Take another breath. Let it move through you. Let it help you understand at what stage of evolving you're in. Let it show you that you, in fact, are not that person anymore. This wine is really good. I think the Rashi Claret sweet red wine, I think it was a perfect choice for tonight. Let's talk about the quiet that you didn't hear on Monday. Wednesdays, they're good for noticing things, right? They're good for noticing things that you didn't have time to feel on Monday. On Monday, you was breaking free. You was declaring that you're a new person, that you are moving forward, that the old you was going to stay in the past. But now that Wednesday's here, you start noticing things that you didn't have time to feel them on Monday. And it's nothing big. It's the small shifts, the quiet discomforts. Kind of like the moment when you reach for an old habit, but you caught yourself mid-reach. Or maybe you walked away from something without announcing it. Maybe you even chose silence instead of explaining yourself again. Maybe you felt like the old version of you was knocking softly and you didn't open the door this time. That's very powerful. That's another reminder that you are not that person anymore. But these moments, they matter. They matter a lot, even if they're small. No, especially if they're small. And that's because growth, it really shows up with grand gestures. It really shows up loud. It shows up in small bits and pieces. It shows up in tiny decisions that no one really sees. You see them. You notice them. You notice all of them. But no one else sees these decisions. No one else sees the extra second you're taking to respond. No one sees the effort you're doing in being a better version of yourself, in reminding yourself that you're not that person anymore. Sometimes it shows up as the breath you took before reacting to something, or that text that you didn't send, the conversations you didn't chase, or the way you didn't pick back up. Take a moment and think about that, but not with judgment, with curiosity. Those small changes, the tiny decisions that nobody sees, the breaths you take before reacting to something, the text that you don't send, the conversations you didn't chase. If you take a moment to think about it, if you're like me, the old you wouldn't have taken that breath before reacting. The old me, they would have sent the text. They would have chased the conversation. So let's not think about it with judgment. Let's think about this with curiosity. We are not that person anymore. I am not that person anymore. Let's slow down a little bit more. Let's check in with the body. Because your body always knows the truth, right? Your body always knows the truth before your mind catches up to it. If you start thinking, where are you holding tension right now? Could be your shoulders, your stomach, your jaw, your chest. Don't fix it. Just notice it. Where did your breath get shallow this week? Where did you feel yourself tightening up? Where did you feel yourself soften? You may have to think about these answers, but your body remembers everything. Even the things you try to move past quickly, take a slow inhale. Hold it for a minute, and then let it go. These questions, they're not designed to be answered right away. They're designed to help you think and realize, was there any changes? Am I holding on to some tension? Did my breath get shallow at all this week? Did I feel myself softening up in certain situations? If you really sit down to try to answer these questions and you're honest with yourself, just like Monday when we discussed we're not that person anymore, those answers might surprise you. On Monday, I spoke about the part that no one really prepares you for. I called it the in-between, right? There's a space between who you were and who you're becoming. That space is very rarely comfortable. And what I said on Monday was, it's like moving into a new place and walking through it in the dark. You bump into things, you misjudge distances, you reach for light switches. And you notice that they're not where you think they were. But not because you're lost, but because you were still learning the layout. So the same way we declare that I am not that person anymore, and these changes start coming up, that's what your mind is doing now. It's learning the layout of the new you, of the new me. That's the part that the people skip over when they walk or they talk about growth. They talk about the breakthrough. They talk about the transformation. They talk about the glow up. But they don't talk about the hallway, the in-between. They don't talk about the nights where you feel unfamiliar with yourself because the changes are happening. They don't talk about the mornings where you wake up and you don't know what version of you is going to show up today. Is the old you going to come knocking again? Is your old habits going to catch up? But tonight, we're going to honor that hallway. We're not rushing through it. We're not going to pretend that it's easy. And we're definitely not going to pretend that you're supposed to have it all figured out. These next 6 things I want to say, keep them with you, okay? You're not late. You're not behind. You're not failing. You're adjusting. You're learning. You're becoming. Take another sip if you got one, and let it slow you down a little bit. Let me ask you something. What feels heavy tonight because you're carrying something that no longer belongs to you? What did you choose not to carry this week that deserves to be honored? What did you walk away from that no one else noticed but you? What boundaries did you hold even though it felt uncomfortable? What truth did you whisper to yourself that you're still learning how to believe it? And like I said before, you don't need answers, just awareness. Let these questions sit with you and let them breathe. As we wind this down, take one last sip of whatever you got. This is not a toast, it's a pause. Wind Down Wednesday, it isn't here to teach you anything. It's just here to give you space to feel the things that you rushed past earlier in the week. A place to land, a place to breathe, a place to sit with the space after. You said the truth on Monday. Tonight, you learned how to sit with it. You learned how to question it and how to sit with those questions. This is the work, the quiet work. This is the choosing, the staying. This is the becoming. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your time. This is 21 grams. And this is the first Wind Down Wednesday. Remember, this work gets done quiet. And like always, I'll be here for the next conversation.